Before I woke up yesterday morning, I was working on Private Francis Bell, who'd been shot in the head. I put his brain, part of his brain and his skull back on top of his head, put it back in, and fixed a shell dressing around his head. I had an airway, I couldn't put it in his mouth because he was in so much pain. Every muscle in his body was contracted. He'd broke his teeth with the amount of pain he was in. I woke up when he regurgitated all the blood and cerebral spinal fluid had gone down and into his stomach, besides the vast amount of blood and cerebral spinal fluid on the pavement. But when he regurgitated, it went all over me. This is 50 years ago, and I remember it. And there's many more dreams I have like that. I know that one of the killers of Private Francis Bell. The police know. And they've never interviewed me because they know who one of the killers was. Other mornings, I woke up and I was putting the lungs back in the chest of Daniel Taggart, a local Irishman from Ballymurphy. I was fighting to save his life. I knew he would die if I didn't push his lungs back in. I was no bloody doctor, but I had to try, so I pushed his lungs back in, made a seal dressing. So I woke up a couple of mornings working on Daniel Taggart. Another guy that's in my dreams was a man called Noel Phillips, a young lad, like I was at the time, shot through the neck. As I say, I was no doctor. I didn't know how to treat him. Bullet in one side, out the other side. But he stopped breathing, and Padre Weston, the Catholic priest of Tupara, told me he was dead. But my job was to see if I could bring him round. So I dragged him off the bed, give him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, heart massage. I carried on for 10 minutes. When you're doing that with somebody dead, the smell that comes up from the stomach, because there's no muscles to close the stomach, makes you want to be sick as well. So I remember these deaths well. Other times I remember soldiers that had been shot. A lad called Sergeant Pearson, shot in the wrist. Bill Cotton, shot in the chest. I worked on all these people, trying to save their lives. But this happened 50 years ago, and I remember it like it was yesterday. The Troubles have a lasting effect on people that were involved in the Troubles. And I would like to make this next few videos to explain to you all. I never want this to happen to anybody else like it's happened to me. And 50 years later, you're remembering all these horrific incidents. Murder is murder. The IRA were involved in murder. The UVF, a lot of Protestant groups involved in murder. So were the police. So were the army. There's nobody, no organisation out there who've got clean hands. Oh, my hands are dirty, look. But I don't want this to happen to you, to your children. And I'm afraid it's going to happen again. And this is why I want to talk about the Troubles and the United Ireland. So in my next few videos, I'm going to just talk about what I consider a solution to a United Ireland. And that's the main thing I'd like to talk about. The Irish, I've got nothing against the Irish. Being a Geordie, our King Oswald, who was the Geordie king thousands of years ago. He brought St. Aidan from the island, no, Iona, the island of Iona, a Scottish island with an Irish order of priests, a monastery. And Oswald wanted Christianity taught to Geordies. So this St. Aidan came over, and Geordies became the first Christians and settled in Lindisfarne. So I think that gives me a right to talk about Christianity and behaviour towards our fellow men. I mightn't be a Christian, but I do believe thou shalt not kill. After witnessing the behaviour of so-called Christians, I vowed never to baptize my children and put a stigma on them. They can be what they want to be when they're over 16. I don't care. Anyway, a Lieutenant Colonel Hewlett, who was my commanding officer of the parachute regiment of 2 Para, he sent for me to the headquarters when I was serving in South Oman. He says, "Mumford, I want you to come with my patrol. I need your help." So I jumped in his Land Rover and we went to a house. And if anybody's ever watched Peppa Pig, I watch it a lot with kids that teach English. There's a house on top of a hill, and it always reminds me of this house in southern South Oman. So it was just an odd-looking house on a hill. We went inside. There's no furniture. We went upstairs. There was a bed with an old man in it, and a couple of broken windows. The smell. It was really good that the windows were broken, because the smell was horrific. And he says, "Corporal Mumford, I know you're not a medic anymore, but can you help this man?" And I says, "Well, he needs cleaned up, yeah?" And he says, "For sure." I undid the bed, and he was caked in shit and piss. I mean, see, you're talking about half-inch deep around his lower body. So I don't care what religion somebody is. I cleaned that man up, and it was hard work for an hour. Oh, paratroopers hate Irish people, hate Catholics. There we were. There's me cleaning this old man up. The colonel had in his Land Rover 20 boxes of field rations. Apparently, this guy's son looked after him, but not very well. So the colonel had put in 20 10-man ration packs to give him food. The social services didn't want to know. So there's the parachute regiment helping an Irishman on the border. Never saw a Catholic priest there, but never mind. I'm not talking about religion anymore. Another incident, I just done a parachuting drop, and there was a soldier with a badly fractured femur. So again, I was no longer a medic. I was a corporal in a parachute regiment. But I still ran to help this lad, because you can die with a fractured femur. And my Major Patton said, "Mumford, you're no longer a medic. Get with your patrol." I said, "Sir, the man's badly injured. This is an exercise. He needs help." He ordered me 3 times. He says, "If I tell you one more time, you're going to jail, and you'll be a private." I saw the ambulance coming, because I told my radio op to tell the medic, Starlight, to get his arse down here quickly and give him the grid reference. Not Major Patton. I did that. So in one case, I'm refused to treat a badly injured soldier. In another instance, they asked me to treat an Irishman. I treat anybody. And that's the way you should be. But I've witnessed British Army officers, police, corrupt officials. I've witnessed what the IRA done. So that is why I'm going to try and talk to you about the United Ireland. I know the truth hurts many people, and they don't like talking about the troubles. I have nothing to be guilty about or feel bad about. I just feel sorry for the people who have died. And what did they die for? Nothing. There's a solution to every problem. It just needs people to talk about it. And this is my effort for the sake of, so that nobody has to go through what I've went through as a young soldier. I hope you listen or even read my book, Who Cares Who Wins, on Kindle by Nigel Mumford. But I'm going to say my piece, and this is the end of part 1.